Happy New Year, ladies and gents. Welcome to Conversational Currency, where we determine the right words, the right moments in a business setting. Conversations and communications are a superpower, and in this particular segment, the Lunch and Learn edition, we're going to cover the art, the science of how to use quizzes for leads, sales, and subscribers. Now, there's a lot that I could share on the subject, but I had to go far and wide, travel the globe in order to bring the right person for this topic. So please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about, let's say, the problem that you solve for your target audience.
That's great. Thank you. Yes, I'm Catherine O'Leary. I am up here in the north in Canada, just north of Toronto. And I help entrepreneurs get more clients and keep them longer with quizzes as a way to introduce your services to them, draw them in as leads, and convert them to customers and build actually those lifelong relationships with them by starting off with a conversation as opposed to a hard sell.
Interesting. Now, when it comes to the quiz itself, when we think quiz, we often go back to our scholastic days where a quiz can indicate something, let's say, knowledge on a topic or right versus wrong. And when we apply this to a business context, there's many people who may be tuning in who the light bulb may not go off for them. So why quizzes? Why now?
That's a great question. So I think what it is it's a conversation starter. So a way to, start that conversation around what problem does your customer have and how are you uniquely qualified to solve it in a way that, takes them through a journey of their problem through to your solution. And to do that, you just introduce some questions and they can be, they can be educational, they can be fun, they can be as in depth as you need them to be, but really taking them on that journey and bridging that gap between their problem, your offer, and, value on both sides. So they get something out of it in a report or quiz insights as to some quick wins for them. And you are able to start building a relationship with your ideal customer.
Okay, so when we talk about quizzes in the segment of my viewer and listener base who, let's say, may have the experience, they have a service-based business, but they, let's say, are just getting started with this concept. What are the bare bones requirements that someone needs in order to get started implementing a quiz strategy within their business or brand?
Yeah, so I think it's a fantastic strategy to add to your 2022 marketing strategies for sure. I think that the way quizzes work and the ones that are most powerful are the ones that are reverse engineered. So having a very strong offer that you're ending with, almost that you're delivering the journey to, and then reverse engineering that to a quiz question that will bring in your ideal customers. And by doing that, by having the offer really dialed in, knowing your target customer really well, being able to attract only your target audience into your quiz, then you can spend the time with them building that conversation, asking them questions like, their business goals for the year, what kind of, business problems that they're having, or what are the problems that they're trying to solve. And by doing so and by reverse engineering it, it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. By the time that they get through to the end of the quiz, you have insights that are perfect for them. And by perfect, I mean, they were already pre-designed. So you look like the hero that's inside their head a little bit, in the sense of, wow, wow, they actually really know me. And the way you've done that is be really super clear on your offer and the problem that you're solving, so that you can couch it and talk about it and communicate it in a way that makes sense to them by the end of the quiz.
Now, marketing often moves in trends and cycles, meaning yesterday's webinar, or let's even say yesterday's telesummit, is today's 5-day challenge. Now, as we head into 2022, there's the low ticket offer, for example, which is very popular as far as a lead generator. Now, my question is, for those who are getting started, are there any differences between, let's say, a paid quiz versus a free quiz? And what do you recommend in terms of how a quiz should be presented from a pricing standpoint?
Yeah, so I think the way the quiz works is it's a lead generation
Okay.
product for you, and or a brand building conversation, but it's not something that they would necessarily pay for. What you want to be doing is capturing their attention in a unique way, taking them through the journey to the problem that you have to solve, giving them a little bit of a teaser, if you will, in the quiz insights, but then driving them after the quiz actually into your webinar or your sales offer or your lower ticket item. And what you're doing is, instead of just having a click on a link to that sales page or that webinar, you've actually collected a lot of information about them that you can use for further communications. But you've also warmed them up a little bit. You've introduced yourself. You have the ability to shine in your personality and your knowledge of the topic, and they get a little bit more comfortable. So it's a warmer lead to go to that next stage, whatever that needs to be. So it's almost taking the place of a lead, like a PDF or a checklist, but a little bit more intense in the sense that you're actually gaining a little bit more information from them that you can then use in your marketing communications and learn a little bit about them to build that relationship.
Excellent. Now, when we talk about the concept of market research, and as it applies to quizzes and business building, should a business owner conduct market research in order to create a quiz, or should they use the quiz to conduct market research to grow their business?
It's a great question. You actually use it for either. I've been doing surveys and market research for the last 25 years for the likes of Apple and Pepsi. And they use it for new product development, for segmentation, marketing communications, and brand awareness. You can use it for all the same things. So you can use it to dial in, some conversation and questions around your offer and what should be next. You can also use it as a driver to an actual product or service that you already have. So it really just depends on, again, what's that end goal, that journey point that you're trying to drive them to. Is it you're learning a little bit more about your target audience? Can totally do that. Or is it that you are actually, offering your service and you want to give them a little bit of a value add before getting them to the sales page? You can do that as well. So it just depends on how are you using it, where you are in the journey of your marketing strategy, and how you want to be developing that relationship with consumers.
When you mention relationship with consumers, let's talk about strategic partnerships, also known as the joint venture. Now, are there any ways that quizzes can be used in the joint venture process?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And I personally have used quizzes in my joint ventures for driving sales to their offers. So I can actually produce a quiz, and I did so with a crypto conversation and investment product. I don't have that product. I believe in that product. I've taken the course. So I developed a quiz to help other people find that product and find that JV partner that I then had a relationship with. So you can use quizzes like that to actually support your JV partners and drive traffic to their offers.
That's an interesting concept. Now, when we talk about the quiz length, how long is too long? Or give us an idea on, if I'm just getting started with quizzes, what's a recommended length of a quiz?
That's also a great question. And again, it depends on what you're using it for. So if you're talking about lead generation, I would say 1 to 2 minutes. Don't throw the kitchen sink in there. Like these, everything's done on a smartphone. It's done very quickly. Keep that in mind. Your goal is to get their email at the same time as learning a little bit about them to then continue the conversation. You don't want to have the whole conversation right then and there. However, if you're using a quiz as an assessment or a tool to have just before, say, a sales conversation, then you've actually set them up to say, hey, I've got this 5 or 10 minute assessment that I need you to take before we have a conversation, so that we're aligned and you actually gain whatever information that you would need pre-call, so that your call is shorter and your time invested in that real-time conversation is maximized. That you've already you set up the context and you set up the expectation that it's going to take a little longer. That's fine. So again, depending on where you're trying to drive them to, if it's a sales call that you need them to provide a lot more information for, then you give them the quiz in that context. If it's more of a lead generation where you're driving paid traffic through things, then it's a real quick conversation, 5, 8 questions.
Okay, so first of all, you're tuning in to Conversational Currency's Lunch and Learn segment, and we're having a discussion on how to use quizzes for leads, sales, and subscribers with the Catherine O'Leary. Now, quizzes in themselves are a combination of market research, there's software involved, there's sales, there's lead generation. And so there's many moving parts. And so oftentimes people can become overwhelmed when they try to take on the moving parts by leaning on their own understanding. Now, you have the profitable quiz formula, which solves that challenge. Can you please go into the profitable quiz formula and give us an idea of the benefits of enrolling into your program?
Yeah, so I'm very excited to be, kind of utilizing my 25 years of experience and developing the profitable quiz formula has been a goal of mine for quite some time. Basically, what it does is takes you from start to finish, and you'll have a quiz ready or a launch ready quiz in 60 days or less. So it's taking all of that guesswork out of how do I get a hook and how do I start? We have a methodology where you start at the end and we take you through how to then reverse engineer things. And as you mentioned, the questionnaire development and quiz development is a little bit of science and technology as well as art form. So we cover all of those bases. So we cover what questions are a good question or a bad question, how to engage people with pictures or text, how to make sure that you're bringing together and promoting your personality, yourself as a subject matter expert, build that authority, respect, and trust, and make sure that you have that aha moment at the end with the insights, and then a really strong call to action for your conversion rate, and sending them off to the next obvious step because you warmed them up to it. So we cover all of those bells and whistles, as well as talking about the technology that helps you implement all of that.
Excellent. Now, for those who want to take the next step, the link to a profitable quiz formula will be in the description of this video. Now, you've been tuning in to Conversational Currencies Lunch and Learn edition with Catherine O'Leary. Any final words or thoughts that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, so what I would encourage everyone to do in 2022 is to make sure to ask, don't guess. When we guess wrong usually. So make sure you're asking the questions that you need.
Excellent. Thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy your 2022. Happy New Year.